Okay, so my name's Chris. I basically buy cars for a living. That's my role here at Irwin's. I actually buy all the used cars, the used car department. I have buyers at different auctions, and so I do a lot of market analysis, figure out, what's selling, how much people are willing to pay for them. So I'm essentially here to help you tonight, kind of walk you through the same process, essentially, like how do I find a car? So really the first, because a car is a major purchase.
I've been looking for you.
All right, and exactly. And it's an emotional experience as well. It's a big ticket item. You want it to be fun. You want it to be reliable. So one of the first questions you're going to want to say is like, do I want to go new or do I want to buy a used car? Because there's definitely pros and cons to both of those. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through some of the OEM sites. That's the original manufacturer sites. So right here we're at Toyota.com. So if you hop on your computer, you go to Toyota.com, and see a list of all of their products. So say I'm looking at a Toyota Corolla, for example. You can click on that. It's got a separate page just for the new 2012 Toyota Corolla. And so it has a starting MSRP. It tells you about what kind of fuel economy it gets. And there's all these different little tabs, so you can find out what different models are available. You can find out what colors it comes in. You can find out whether you want standard or automatic. And pretty much all of the major manufacturers' websites are set up along a similar pattern, where it'll have the cars and the minivans together, and the trucks and the SUVs, and within each group it's got the different nameplates that they have. Likewise, you might consider buying a Ford, so you can hop over to Ford.com, and again, a very similar layout to Toyota's site, where it's essentially got the type of vehicle at the top there, which if you click on, you'll get further subdivision of specific models. What's really cool about the manufacturer's sites is you can actually build and price your own car, or truck, or SUV, or whatever it is you're looking for. So you can essentially say, like, I want a Ford F-150, and I want it to have the extended cab, not the full crew cab, the extended, and I want this size engine and this size bed, and you can kind of add in your different options, and it'll actually show you how much that's going to cost. So you can essentially, you can build your own truck online or car before you even get to the showrooms, what you're expecting, kind of what your expectations are. There's always great tools out there to educate yourselves before you even step foot in a dealership. So you kind of go into it with all kinds of knowledge about what it is you're actually looking for. There's a couple other sites I'd like to show you. The two so far, I've showed you like the specific manufacturer sites, so Toyota and Ford in this case. There's also a third-party site called Cars.com. Now, this has all kinds of different cars, both new and used, at different dealers. So the way this sort of third-party site is set up is Cars.com actually has new cars and used cars kind of separated. But in both instances, you enter your zip code, and the default setting is to search within 30 miles of that zip code. But you can certainly go all the way up 500 miles or farther if you so choose. So let's just, for example, let's just look for, it looks like for a Ford. You're looking for an F-150. Search used. So it's going to search within 30 miles of your zip code, and it's going to pull up all of the different cars that are available. And it's all kinds of different dealerships. There's one of ours, 2009. So if you click on that, it's going to take you to what's called a vehicle details page, which gives you a little more information about this particular car. So you'll see that we do have, we have 30 photos of the car. That's really important, especially if you're looking at a used vehicle. You want lots of photos so you can make sure that they're not trying to hide any paint damage or anything that might be wrong with the car. So we have 30 photos. We actually have a full video on there. We've actually had Jason, or Joan, has actually taken a little camcorder and walked around every inch of that vehicle. So you can actually see, almost like you're walking around kicking the tires yourself in a lot, but in the comfort of your own home. Something else to pay attention to on these sorts of sites is that it gives you both the engine and the transmission. It talks about the drivetrains. There's all kinds of technical information that's available to you, as well as the seller's notes. And those are really important to read too, because someone's actually sat down, they decided to tell you all about this car that you're looking at. Right? So we're actually, we're telling you that it has a clean Carfax, which we'll talk about in a little bit. What is a Carfax? We'll get into that later. But someone's actually taking the time to describe to you what this unique truck is and why you might be interested in it. Now you can do the same thing at another third-party site called AutoTrader. Again, it's a sort of similar setup to Cars.com where you have a zip code, and that's really, what it's based off. It's based off of your own location. Now, AutoTrader is a little bit different in that it actually mixes new and used cars together in your search, unless you specify otherwise. It also defaults to 25 miles, which is comparable distance, but not the same. So I might say I'm going to look for that Ford F-150 again. And notice that the default setting says what year range. So it defaults to 1981 to 2013, so it's going to include all new and used F-150s within 25 miles of this zip code. Something else that's interesting, you can actually specify a minimum and a maximum price, which is not available on Cars.com, is available here. So you might say, well, my budget, I don't want to spend any more than $30,000 on this truck. So you can set that as a cap. Then you click search, and it'll pull up all new and used vehicles that fall within that pricing parameter. After it loads for a bit. It gets pretty slow around here sometimes. But once it does load, you'll see a very similar setup to on Cars.com, where you essentially have a list of thumbnails of different trucks that are available, and if you click on each one, you can learn more about that particular truck. And again, you're going to be looking for photos, look for video, check the description to learn more about it. Especially, which is even more important for a used car really than a new, because a new car is a new car, so it's really more price you're going off of, where a used car obviously you want very good condition as well.
Is this something you do for people? You would
oh no, I buy the cars for the dealership, actually. So I buy the used cars for Irwin's.
Yeah.
This one seems to not be loading, so I'm just going to take you over to Dealer Rater. Now this is a little bit different. I'd argue it's just as important, if not more important, to know which dealership it is you're buying from than it is the car you're buying. You want to make sure that you're doing business with a reputable dealership, that they have a good quality product, they treat people well. So you can actually go to dealerrater.com. It's a third-party, objective, non-biased site that just has consumer reviews of different dealerships. And so there's a couple different ways you can play it. If you have a particular, well, say you've got a make picked out. Say you really want to buy a Jeep. You could click on Jeep and it would take you to a list of Jeep dealers within a certain area, and you could then drill down and figure out which Jeep dealer you want to buy from. You could also come up here and search. If you say, I want to learn about Irwin Ford, for example, you could type that up and search.
Yeah, and tomorrow I can get the pictures if you like it. You can put a deposit on it.
So you come up right at the top there.
Now this will come with 20-day plates, so you can drive it home if you want.
And you can see that based on an average of 62 customer reviews, people have actually bought from us and taken the time to come here and rate us. We have an average of 4.8 out of 5 stars, and that's based on 62 reviews. It has the overall ratings based, I know the print's kind of small, it says customer service, quality of work, friendliness, overall experience, and price. And an overall score is kind of based on an average of those numbers. So Dealer Rater is a tool that you can use to kind of learn more about the people you're considering doing business with, which is just as important as figuring out which car you want to buy. You also want to know who you want to buy this car from.
Gonna get rained on.
Now, I mentioned Carfax earlier. This is a snapshot of our website for our pre-owned section. You'll notice that we have these little buttons on here. This is just irwinzone.com and then the pre-owned vehicles. We actually have a little tab for Carfax right here. It's about $35, give or take, per report. We actually provide them free of charge to our customers. If you go to our website, click on the Carfax report, it'll come right up. And so what the Carfax is essentially all of the public records that are ever been printed associated with this particular car, this VIN number. It's sort of like a social security number but for a car, where it's a unique 17-digit number, and no other car in the world except this one particular 2010 Camry has that number. And so what Carfax does is every time there's like the title gets registered, or it passes state inspection, or it has service done, it records it and pushes that out on this report. So you can see that this particular car was sold new at Irwin Toyota, on March 5th of 2010. And it came back in for emissions inspection. And if you scroll down, you can see that they, had the oil changed regularly. They've been in for, regular maintenance. You also notice that. Oh, of course, sure.
Imagine you go to the hospital and you have your medical records there. This is just like looking at the car's medical records. They went to the doctor on a regular basis. They had their cholesterol checked, and so did this car. That's what that is.
Yeah. This is Jeff from Carfax, by the way.
I want to point out one more thing.
I wouldn't have known that.
Look at the Carfax report right here. See this little logo? This dealership is a partner of ours. They're called an Advantage dealer. And that's a big deal, because that means part of the process here is that every single vehicle in their inventory has a Carfax report on it. So if you're the consumer and you come in and you say, "Can I have a Carfax report on that?" They're going to say, "Of course you can." Now, some other dealers, you go in and they go, "Oh, you don't want a Carfax report on that." And there's a reason. So if you ever are looking for a used vehicle and you happen to see this Advantage dealer logo, that's a big deal. It's very important, and that's why I'm proud to be here tonight, representing this group, because they're fantastic partners. Transparency is the key thing now. You want to know everything about the vehicle before you buy it. In the old days, they used to get the customer in the car, make them drive the car, because then, this happens. We want this to happen, right? Not this, because this gets us in trouble sometimes. So by using this first, and you can do all this at home, you can see the pictures, the price, you can see the Carfax. You can make a good decision when you come here, and then fall in love. It's okay to fall in love, by the way.
Thank you, Jeff. You're welcome. So, so the Carfax report is essentially one way to know what sort of car you're looking at. What is the quality or the condition of this pre-owned car I'm considering buying. There's another kind of similar sort of thing that we have, again, on our website called a Real Deal report. What Real Deal is it's actually a third-party, objective, totally non-biased, separate company that analyzes price. It checks the price of a car against the price of all similar cars within a given radius based on mileage and condition and trim level. So if, for example, I want to check the price of this 2010 Camry, I click on the Real Deal report. Again, it's just on irwinzone.com under the pre-owned section. And so after it loads, because that's much of my day is waiting for the computer screen to load, you'll have this Real Deal report pop up. You got a little referee who talks you through everything. So again, there's photos listed. There's a description. It gives you kind of technical information about the car. But more importantly, the price is really why you're looking at this. So if you scan the market, it's going out 75 miles. Remember, the original, the Auto Trader search was 25 miles, and the Cars.com was 30 miles. It's actually scanning 75 miles of the dealership. It's saying there's 107 2010 Toyota Camrys, but 3 of them didn't have price or mileage listed, so you can't really compare those because you don't. How do you compare the price if there's no price? Exactly. So it filters those out, and then it goes by trim level. The LE is like kind of the bread and butter Camry. The SE is like a sport package, so it costs a little bit more, has alloy wheels and a moonroof, but it wants to make sure you're not just comparing apples to apples, but Macintosh to Macintosh. So it kind of gets it increasingly more specific. And so after it filters it all the way down, you find that your competitive set, out of an initial 107 Camrys, there's 44 and 75 miles that are configured just like this one. So now what you want to do is check your price. There we go. So now it's actually taken all 44 cars and it's plotted them on this graph. So your market average price is this gray dotted line right there. And so on the y-axis we have the price in dollars, and the x-axis we have mileage in tens of thousands of miles. So you can see that ours is priced $300 below the market average. And whereas most of them have closer to 40,000 miles, ours has 30,000 miles. So it's slightly less money and it's fewer miles. So this referee says that that is a good price for this car. So that's kind of another tool that we provide to give you peace of mind when you're looking at a car.
When you buy a pre-owned
Yes.
car, what is your expectation for, like that was a 2010.
Okay.
So I'm assuming that car would have some warranty.
Oh, sure. Really, the warranty is kind of a whole separate issue. A lot of it depends on both on mileage and the date the car was originally sold as new. So, for example, this is a 2010, all the miles, let me check. It has 28,000 miles. Actually, I can even go back to Carfax and do a warranty check.
Okay, there's a warranty check on
So
it.
this one probably has balance of factory warranty left, depending on when it was initially sold. So you go back to Carfax, again, on our website, hover over warranty check. Yeah, I'm going to make that a little bit bigger. There we go. So it shows that of the original bumper-to-bumper warranty, which is 36 months or 36,000 miles, we have a remaining 11 months or 7,000 miles under the initial bumper-to-bumper protection when it was sold as new. Additionally, there's, for the drivetrain, for the engine and transmission, all the major components, we have another 35 months or 31,000 miles. So you have almost a full another year or 7,000 miles comprehensive bumper-to-bumper warranty, as well as nearly 3 years or 31,000 miles left on all the major drivetrain components, and then even longer on emissions and corrosion. So there is balance of factory warranty remaining on that vehicle.
So then my question would next be, well, why did that person give up this perfectly good car with all of this? What was wrong with this
We
car that they
frequently
traded
have
it in
people.
so quickly?
That's a great question.
Remember we were talking about this?
Yeah.
This doesn't apply all the time. This does. So we don't need, but we want.
Yeah.
Right.
And if people have enough money and they want, they get.
And there's also
It's really simple.
There's also a large number of people who actually use this and decide, I want to lease rather than buy a car. They decide, I don't want the headache of car ownership. I want to rent a car. I want to pay for use but not pay for ownership.
Yeah.
So you have lots of people who take 2 or 3 year leases, drive the cars, turn them back in, we get them, spruce them up, sell them again. So they're driving a new, a brand new car. They turn in their 2-year-old car and someone else buys it.
They're probably driving a 2012 Camry.
Yeah,
And
LA.
likely they bought that in 2009.
Yeah.
Right.
It's been a 3-year term. They may have come out a couple, 3 months early. And again, it's an opportunity that it is actually Toyota's car. We as a dealer have an opportunity to buy it from Toyota after
Right.
they've turned it in.
I leased a car and I'll never do it again.
Well, there's so many reasons, so many things for us to really discuss with these ladies in wheels, and that's the subject.
Okay.
I leased a car and I loved it.
Yeah.
I lease as well. But a lot of times I find, and I've been at this a little while, that after it's been nearly 2 or 3 years, you're at the end of the term, you say, I'm going to buy this time. You really forgot why you leased last time. And once you go over the facts, like, well, gee, I can save $100, I can use the car, I get the best part of the vehicle life, I don't have upside down situation, I know I'm going to be within my own miles.
Yeah.
And then you get reminded why you leased to begin
Sure.
with. But it's not for everybody, and if you're a type of person who likes to own their cars for 10 years, and then obviously you're not a typical lease person. But I think that would be a good subject matter for our next Ladies in Wheels. There's so many, there's so many opportunities here for you. There's so much to learn. And this is what this is really all about. And when we all have an opinion about what we like and what we don't like, that's what makes the world go round, Chris, is there anything else at
That
this
was
point?
really the end of it. I'd like to open the
Thank you.
floor for questions if there are any.
How do you know, if you
Okay.
want to buy a new car, how do you know what they're going to give you for your car? Because that's what stops me every time I go.
That's really, you really want to sit down with the sales manager. They'll actually appraise your trade.
So you can't do it before you get.
There's a lot of different tools out there. I mean, again, you have Kelly, you have Edmunds, you have NADA, you have Black Book, but
none of them agree.
none of them. It's not. It really is not an exact science. And to be truthful, this is another whole segment. I mean, I want to bring one idea while I'm thinking of it. Notice in doing Real Deal. Imagine how many hours you already spent looking through, trying to figure out the good price. That happened in seconds. And really, you can drill down even more than that. It's like you already know how many are out there, where they're priced. And when you're working with a salesperson, they can drill down and say, okay, well, this one's certified, this one's not. You can look at the Carfax. You know that it's been a service vehicle.
And that works the same way with new vehicles?
No, this is
Real
Deal is, and it is a third-party source. It's an independent source. It's not. We didn't do the research on that, but we feel it's a value to our consumer to have that for them. But I just wanted to point out you didn't have to go through Auto Trader and spend 3 hours trying to figure out all that. It's all right there, and it's a great, great tool. And same thing with Rated Dealer. That again is independent. You can see who you're doing business with. With the internet market being as it is, it's very global, and we understand that. And our market is not just our neighbors; it's New England. So we have people that are willing to travel great distances to buy our used cars because of the value of what we put our price. I put it for pricing. And your question about how do you determine what your car is worth? I don't use Kelly. I don't use NADA. I don't use any of that. I really use the sources that I use is pretty much what the market is bearing, what the public will pay. And if we did a Real Deal and my price was $3,000 higher, I know the market's not going to bear that. I know we have to be competitive to do so. And really, that's how I really price our cars. So one way to look at it is, maybe what are they selling your car for? What is the lowest price that's out there for a light car like yours? Then you got to figure out, well, they're going to have to still put a warranty on it. Are they going to certify it? What's going to need to be done for it to be certified? And we do try to make them a profit, but it is a fair profit. We're not looking to make a killing. If we were, we wouldn't be as low on that price range, and we'd be much higher. We really just don't do this old school, and it's just not our philosophy. And if you went onto our website, you'll see live market pricing. That's how we price our vehicles, based on what the market will bear. And I have to tell you, Chris's job, he does a terrific job. That website, he's very responsible for that website. And having, knowing that the cars are merchandised properly. Pictures are there. We have 30 pictures of our vehicles. There's going to be a Carfax on there. There's going to walk around video. He's making sure Real Deal is clear, and Carfax is up and running. So he's responsible for merchandising these as well as choosing them. So he does a very nice job choosing our used cars for us. And we're lucky to have him. And I think he did a very nice job in making a presentation to you this evening. So there's a lot to learn. I mean, this is just the tip of the iceberg. Now, what the gals from AAA, Rayette,